The street was quiet. Only the sound of Jaden's shoes tapping the sidewalk could be heard. He was 15 years old, tall and slim, with a backpack hanging off one shoulder. He had just left his friend's house and was walking home. It was late, too late, his mom would say. The street lights were on and the wind was cold. Jaden pulled his hoodie up. He didn't like walking at night, but he had done it many times before. This was his neighborhood. He lived here. He belonged here. But tonight felt different. He heard footsteps behind him. Slow. Heavy. He looked back. A man was following him. Jaden walked faster. The man walked faster, too. Jaden turned into a side alley, a shortcut he had taken many times before. But when he reached the middle of the alley, the man shouted, "Hey, stop right there!" Jaden froze. His heart was pounding. The man stepped into the light. He was big, strong, and angry-looking. His name was Mr. Crowley. Everyone in the neighborhood knew him. He wasn't a police officer, but he acted like one. People called him the neighborhood enforcer. Mr. Crowley pulled something from his belt. "A gun! Hands up!" he shouted. "What are you doing here?" Jaden lifted his hands slowly. "I live here," he said softly. "I'm just going home." Mr. Crowley didn't care. "Don't lie to me," he said. "I saw you sneaking around. You don't belong here." Jaden's voice shook. "I'm not sneaking. I live on 6th Street, apartment 3B. "Don't move," Mr. Crowley said. He kept the gun pointed right at Jaden's chest. Tears started to fill Jaden's eyes. He was scared. More scared than he had ever been. "I didn't do anything," he whispered. Mr. Crowley didn't blink. "You people are always up to something." Suddenly, a loud engine roared from the end of the alley. A black car pulled up fast. The tires screeched as it stopped. The driver's door opened. A tall man stepped out, broad shoulders, calm eyes. Jaden's heart jumped. He knew that walk, that face. "Dad?" he said. The man walked straight toward Mr. Crowley. Not fast, not slow, just steady. His eyes never left the gun. "Put it down," the man said, his voice calm but powerful. "That's my son." Mr. Crowley's hand shook slightly. "He was acting suspicious," I said. The man repeated. "Put the gun down, now." Mr. Crowley looked closer at the man's face. His eyes widened. He took a step back. "Marcus," he said. Jaden looked between the two men, confused. They knew each other? Marcus nodded once. "I just got home from overseas. Didn't expect to come back to this." Crowley lowered the gun, slowly. Jaden's knees felt weak. He ran toward his father. Marcus stepped in front of him like a shield. He looked straight at Mr. Crowley. "You ever point a gun at my son again?" Marcus said. "You'll wish you hadn't." Mr. Crowley didn't answer. He stepped back, then turned and walked away. Jaden stood there, shaking. His father placed a strong hand on his shoulder. "It's okay," Marcus said softly. "You're safe now." Jaden looked up at him. "Who is he? Why did he have a gun?" Marcus didn't answer right away. He stared down the alley, his jaw tight. "Some men think they're the law," he finally said, "but they're just bullies with weapons." They walked home together in silence. But Jaden's mind was full of questions. Why did Mr. Crowley look scared when he saw his dad? What kind of man was his father before he came home? And what was really happening in this neighborhood? One thing was clear. This wasn't over, not yet. The house was quiet when they got home. Jaden's mother, Renee, stood by the door, her arms crossed, her eyes wide with worry. "Where were you?" she asked Jaden. "It's past 10. Jaden opened his mouth to speak, but Marcus stepped forward. "I found him in the alley," Marcus said. "Crowley had a gun on him." Renee gasped. "What?" Marcus nodded. "He thought Jaden was a threat." Jaden's voice was low. "He said I didn't belong here." Renee hugged Jaden tight. her hands shaking. "This is exactly what I was afraid of." Marcus looked at them both. "It's not going to happen again." Jaden had never seen his father like this before, calm, strong, but with something cold in his eyes, like fire held deep inside. They sat down in the living room. Jaden sat quietly while his mother paced. "I told you that man was dangerous," Renee said. "Crowley acts like he owns the whole block." Marcus said nothing for a moment. Then he asked, "How long has this been going on?" Renee sighed. "Since you left. He started a neighborhood watch, but really it's just him and a few men picking on kids, especially kids who look like Jaden." Jaden looked up. "Why didn't the police stop him?" "They say he's helping," Renee said bitterly. "They looked the other way." Marcus stood up. "Not anymore." Jaden followed him to the kitchen. "Dad," he said quietly, "how do you know him?" Marcus turned. His eyes were sharp, but his voice was soft. "We worked together a long time ago, before I left the military." Jaden's eyes widened. "You were soldiers together?" Marcus nodded. "Crowley was part of a mission team, but he wasn't like the rest of us. He liked power too much. He liked control." Jaden swallowed. "Were you friends?" "No," Marcus said. "We just wore the same uniform." There was silence. Then Marcus looked at his son. "You were brave tonight." Jaden shook his head. "I was scared." "Being brave doesn't mean you're not scared," Marcus said. "It means you keep going, even when you are." Jaden didn't know what to say. His father had only come back a few weeks ago. He had been gone most of Jaden's life, always. Somewhere far away, army bases, deserts, countries Jaden couldn't even spell. Now, suddenly, he was here, protecting him, standing up to men with guns. But something in Marcus's eyes made Jaden wonder, what had his father seen while he was gone? What had he done? That night, Jaden couldn't sleep. He kept seeing the gun, Mr. Crowley's angry face, his father's steady voice. He walked to the window and looked out. The street was still, but across the road, he saw a figure standing on the sidewalk, watching the house. Jaden's heart jumped. Was it Crowley? He leaned closer to the glass. But the figure turned and walked away into the dark. The next morning, Marcus stood in front of the mirror, tying his boots. Jaden watched from the hallway. "Are you going somewhere?" Jaden asked. Marcus didn't look back. "Just taking a walk." "Will you talk to Crowley again?" Marcus finally turned. "No, I'm going to talk to his boss." "Who's that?" Marcus gave a small smile. "Every bully answers to someone." Jaden watched his father leave the house. He didn't walk fast, but every step looked sure, like he knew where he was going. Back in the kitchen, Renee sat reading something on her phone. Her face was pale. "What is it?" Jaden asked. She showed him the screen. It was a community message board. Crowley confronted a teen last night, said he might have stopped a break-in. "Good thing he's protecting us." That kid looked suspicious. Why was he out so late? Jaden's hands tightened into fists. "They're talking about me," Renee nodded. "They believe him, not you." Jaden stood up. "That's not fair." "No," Renee said softly. "It's not." Across town, Marcus stood in front of a tall gate. Behind it was a large house, the home of Councilman Ellis, the man who helped fund Crowley's neighborhood watch. Marcus pressed the bell. A voice came through the speaker. "Can I help you?" "This is Marcus Turner," he said. "I need to speak to the councilman. It's urgent." There was silence. Then the gate buzzed open. As Marcus walked inside, the camera on the wall turned to follow him. Somewhere in the house, a phone rang. Crowley answered. "He's here," said the voice on the line. "Your old friend." Jaden sat on the front steps of their apartment building, watching the sky turn orange. It was early evening, and the air felt heavy. His mother was inside making dinner. But Jaden's mind was far away. He couldn't stop thinking about the night before. The gun, Crowley's eyes, his dad's voice, calm and strong. And now, strangers watching their house? Nothing felt normal anymore. Just then, the neighbor from across the street, Mr. Lenny, walked by. He was an old man with kind eyes and a slow walk. He had lived in the neighborhood for over 40 years. "You all right, son?" Mr. Lenny asked, stopping near the steps. Jaden nodded slowly. "Yeah." "You look like someone with a storm in his head," the man said with a smile. Jaden didn't smile back. "Do you know Mr. Crowley?" Mr. Lenny's face changed. His smile faded. "Everyone knows him." Jaden looked up. "Was he always like this?" Mr. Lenny sat down beside him. "He was different once, quiet, kept to himself. But after your dad left, something changed. He got louder, meaner, like he wanted to take charge of everything." Jaden leaned in. "Did he know my dad?" Mr. Lenny nodded. "They were close once. Not friends, but connected." Jaden frowned. "How?" Mr. Lenny lowered his voice. "Your father and Crowley were part of a team, military or something deeper. When your dad left, Crowley stayed, and he started thinking he was in charge here." Jaden felt cold inside. He thanked Mr. Lenny and walked back inside, thinking hard. At that moment, miles away, Marcus sat in the large living room of Councilman Ellis's home. Everything smelled expensive. Leather chairs, clean floors, polished wood. Ellis was a thin man with sharp eyes and a fake smile. "So," Ellis said, pouring himself a drink, "you're back in the neighborhood." Marcus nodded. "Just got back." Ellis raised an eyebrow. "And already making noise. I heard about what happened with Crowley." Marcus didn't smile. "He aimed a gun at my son." Ellis shrugged. "He's trying to keep the streets clean. Sometimes things go too far." Marcus leaned forward. His voice was quiet. "Crowley is out of control. You know it. I know it." Ellis narrowed his eyes. "You came here to accuse me?" "No," Marcus said. "I came to warn you. If you—" "Let him keep playing soldier." Jaden stared at the letter in his hand. "Leave now. This is your only warning." His fingers shook. Someone had come to their door while they were inside. Someone close. Someone watching. Marcus took the letter and read it again. His eyes didn't blink. His voice was calm. "They want to scare us," he said. Renee stepped forward. "Marcus, this is serious. What if they come back?" "They already did," Marcus said. "Now we know." Jaden looked at his dad. "What does it mean?" "It means Crowley has people watching us," Marcus replied. "People who still follow him." Jaden's chest tightened. "Why?" Marcus glanced out the window. "Because we know the truth, and the truth is dangerous to men like Crowley." The next day, Jaden walked home from school, looking over his shoulder every few steps. He felt eyes on him, in the windows, from cars, maybe even behind fences. He took the long way home and passed a street he usually avoided, Oak Ridge Lane. At the end of the lane, there was a tall, rusty fence. Behind it stood a large building that used to be an old warehouse. Now it was locked up tight. Jaden stopped when he saw a black SUV parked outside the fence. Two men stood near it talking quietly. One of them wore sunglasses. The other was Crowley. Jaden ducked behind a trash bin. He watched as Crowley handed a folder to the man with glasses. The man nodded, then got into the SUV and drove off. Jaden's heart pounded. He didn't know what was in the folder, but it didn't feel right. Why was Crowley giving documents to someone out here? And why was the warehouse guarded? That night, Jaden told his father everything. Marcus listened, then pulled out a map of the neighborhood. He pointed to Oak Ridge Lane. "That warehouse hasn't been used in years," Marcus said. "Not officially." Jaden leaned over the map. "Then what is it?" Marcus looked at him. Let's find out. At midnight, they dressed in black clothes. Renee begged them not to go. It's too dangerous, she whispered. You don't know what's in there. Marcus kissed her forehead. I do know. That's why I have to go. Jaden slipped a small flashlight into his pocket and followed his father out the back door. The streets were quiet. No cars, no dogs, barking, just the sound of their footsteps. When they reached the warehouse, Marcus crouched near the fence. He used a small tool to quietly unlock the gate. Jaden's heart was racing. This was the most dangerous thing he had ever done. Inside, the air smelled like dust and oil. Old crates were stacked in rows. The flashlight flickered across the floor. They walked slowly, not speaking. Then Marcus stopped. In the corner of the room was a locked door. Above it was a new security camera, blinking red. Marcus turned to Jaden. Stay here. He moved quickly, avoiding the camera's view, and reached the wall. He pulled out a small device, pressed a button. The camera's red light faded. Jaden stared. Where did you learn that? Marcus gave a half smile. The same place Crowley did. He broke the lock and opened the door. Inside was a small office. On the desk were blueprints, photographs, and files marked with red stamps. Jaden stepped inside. His eyes widened. There were photos of people, families, teenagers, young men, all from the neighborhood. Some had notes under their names. Observe. Watch list. High risk. Jaden saw his own picture and his father's. They've been tracking us, he whispered. Marcus opened a drawer. Inside were security badges and ID cards with the name NEO. What's NEO? Jaden asked. Marcus's face darkened. It's not new. It's an old name, from before I left. He paused. Crowley didn't just come back to watch. The neighborhood. He came back to restart something. Jaden looked at the files again. Are they building a secret group? Yes, Marcus said. And Crowley is their leader. Suddenly, a loud noise echoed through the warehouse. Clang, footsteps. They weren't alone. Marcus grabbed the files. Move! Now! Jaden followed him, heart racing, as voices shouted behind them. Stop right there! They ran through the crates back toward the gate. A flashlight beam swept across the floor. They reached the fence just as a man behind them shouted, I've got eyes on them! Marcus pushed Jaden through the gate. Then he turned and slammed it shut, locking it from the outside. The guards pounded on the gate, but Marcus was already running. Back home, they spread the files on the table. Renee stared at them in shock. They're planning something, Marcus said. Surveillance, control, maybe worse. Jaden looked at the photos. Why us? Because we remember, Marcus said, and because we don't follow. He held up one paper. It had a date and location on it. Jaden read it aloud. Macy. 27. Community safety meeting at the high school gym. Renee's voice trembled. That's next week. Marcus looked at them both. That's when it happens, he said. That's when they make their move. The high school gym was packed. Folding chairs filled the floor. The walls were lined with posters that said, Stronger Together. Keep our streets safe. Support the neighborhood watch. Jaden sat with his mom near the back. His dad, Marcus, stood near the door, arms crossed, eyes scanning the room. He wasn't there to listen. He was there to watch. At the front of the gym, Councilman Ellis smiled and waved at the crowd. Beside him stood Crowley, dressed in a clean black jacket, hands behind his back. People clapped when they walked to the microphone. Jaden clenched his fists. He could hear people around him whispering, Crowley's done a lot for us. That's the man who stopped the robbery last week. He's the reason we feel safe. Jaden wanted to scream. They didn't know the truth. Councilman Ellis tapped the mic. Thank you, neighbors. Tonight, we take the next step toward protecting our community. People clapped again. Crowley stepped forward. We've had break-ins, stolen cars, and threats. But we've also had heroes. He paused. And I don't mean police. I mean us, people who care. More clapping. Jaden's heart pounded. It was like watching a snake charm a crowd. Then Crowley smiled. Tonight, I ask for your full support. We want to make the neighborhood watch official, with power to patrol, with access to records, and the right to act quickly if anyone looks suspicious. Jaden froze. Looks suspicious. Everyone knew what that meant. Marcus stepped forward. No. The crowd turned. Silence fell. Councilman Ellis frowned. Excuse me? Marcus walked slowly to the front. You're asking this community to give Crowley power, but you don't know who he is. I do. Crowley's smile dropped. Ellis said, Sir, you're not on the list to speak. I don't need to be, Marcus said. I've served this country. I've risked my life to protect others. And I'm not going to stand here and let a man like Crowley turn this neighborhood into a prison. Gasps filled the room. Crowley stepped forward, voice cold. Marcus, you left this community. I stayed. I protected it. Marcus looked him in the eye. You watched it, tracked people, labeled kids like my son as threats. You built files, spied on your neighbors. He held up a folder. One of the ones from the warehouse. People, look at these. He handed it to a woman in the front row. She opened it. Her eyes widened. This has my son's name on it. More murmurs. Marcus held up another file. Crowley doesn't want peace. He wants control. Councilman Ellis tried to speak. This is fake. These files could be made by anyone. Jaden stood. I saw them myself, he said. He had pictures of me, my school, notes about my friends. More heads turned. Then, from the back of the bedroom, someone else stood up. It was Mr. Lenny, the older neighbor. I've lived here 42 years, he said loudly. And I saw the way Crowley looked at our kids. I never trusted him. Now people were whispering louder. Some stood to look at the files. Crowley's voice rose. You're letting emotion blind you. I've done more for this block than anyone. Then, why did you hide it? Marcus asked. Why use fear to get power? Ellis raised his hands. Enough! This meeting is getting out of control. But it was too late. Someone shouted, We want answers! Another, Show us the rest of those. Files! Crowley's eyes darted around. His calm was gone. Jaden stepped forward, holding up the badge labeled NEO. You didn't come here to help us, he said. You came to rebuild your old power, to finish what you started years ago. Crowley stepped toward Jaden. You don't understand anything, boy. Marcus moved fast, stepping between them. Touch him, he warned, and you'll regret it. Police officers finally stepped in. One of them picked up a file, reading silently. Then, turning to Ellis. And Crowley, he said, We'll need to take a closer look at these. Crowley's face turned pale. People began to leave their seats, walking out, shaking their heads. The crowd had turned. Outside the gym, Jaden stood next to his dad, breathing in the cool night air. You were amazing, Renee said, hugging them. Both. Marcus looked around. This isn't over. Crowley still has people, but now they're exposed. Jaden looked at the gym lights behind them. He's not going to stop, is he? Marcus shook his head. Not yet. He'll get desperate, and desperate men make dangerous choices. Jaden nodded. Then we stay ready. His father smiled. Together. The house was quiet. Too quiet. Jaden sat by the window, watching the street below. For 2 days after the meeting, Crowley had disappeared. No cars, no visitors, no signs. It felt wrong, like the calm before a storm. Why is he silent? Jaden asked. Marcus, sitting at the kitchen table, looked up from the files. Because he's planning something, Jaden nodded. It's like he's waiting. Marcus stood. He's not waiting. He's setting a trap. He lost the crowd. Now he'll come for us. Renee's voice came from the hallway. We should leave. Pack our things. Go somewhere safe. But Marcus shook his head. If we run now, he wins. We don't run. Later that night, Jaden got a message. It was from Zeke, his friend from school. Yo, come to the park. Gotta show you something. It's about Crowley. Jaden stared at the screen. He hadn't heard from Zeke since the meeting. What did he know? He walked into the kitchen. Dad, Zeke messaged me. He wants me to meet him, Marcus. Looked up. Now? Where? The park. Said it's about Crowley. Marcus stood, thinking hard. Something's off. Jaden frowned. You think it's a trick? Marcus grabbed his jacket. I'm going with you. They arrived at the park just before 10 p.m. The air was cold. The swings creaked in the wind. The lights above the court flickered. No one was there. Jaden checked his phone. Zeke said he'd be near the basketball court. They walked slowly toward it. Then from the shadows, Jaden turned. Zeke came running from behind the trees. His face was pale. Dude, Zeke whispered. They're coming for you. Crowley's guys. They said you messed everything up. Marcus grabbed Zeke's arm. Did you hear this or see it? I heard them. Behind the old store near the alley, Jaden's heart raced. We have to go. But before they could move, tires screeched. A black SUV pulled into the park entrance, then another. Both with no license plates. Men in dark jackets stepped out. Marcus pulled Jaden behind the bench. It's a trap, he said. Zeke, did you lead them here? Zeke's eyes widened. No, I swear, I thought I was helping. Crowley stepped. Out of the second SUV, his voice echoed across the empty park. Marcus Turner, step out. Jaden froze. Let's end this now, Crowley said. No more hiding, just you and me. Marcus stood, slow and calm. I'm not hiding, he said. You're the one playing games, Crowley smiled. You're right, so let's stop playing. He nodded at his men. Two of them pulled out zip ties. Jaden stepped forward. You want me? I'm right here, Crowley laughed. No, boy, you're just bait. He looked at Marcus. You're the threat. You've always been. Marcus raised his hands. Let the boy go. You want me? Take me. One of the men rushed forward. Marcus moved fast, twisting the man's arm and dropping him in seconds. Then he turned and grabbed Jaden's hand. Run! They sprinted toward the trees. Zeke followed, panting. The men behind shouted, Stop them! Bullets cracked through the night, hitting trees and benches. Jaden's lungs burned. His legs ached, but he didn't stop. They reached the alley behind the old store and ducked behind a dumpster. Zeke collapsed to the ground. I didn't. No, I swear. Marcus nodded. You're safe now. He pulled out a small radio from his coat. Jaden blinked. What's that? I made a call before we came, Marcus said. I knew this might happen. A moment later, sirens screamed in the distance. Red and blue lights flashed across the sky. Crowley's men looked around, panicked. Marcus stood tall. You thought we'd walk into your trap? Crowley's face twisted in anger. This isn't over, Marcus. No, Marcus said, but you are. Police cars surrounded the park. Officers jumped out, shouting commands. Crowley tried to run, but it was too late. They tackled him to the ground. Back at home, Jaden sat on the couch, wrapped in a blanket. He looked at his dad. Is it really over? Marcus sat beside him. Crowley is finished, but what he built might still be out there. Jaden nodded. What do we do now? Marcus looked at him, then at Renee. We tell the truth, he said, to everyone. We let the world know what he was doing. Jaden leaned back, eyes heavy. For the first time in weeks, the house felt safe. But deep down, he knew. The courtroom was silent. Jaden sat on the wooden bench beside his mother. His heart was beating fast. Up front, Crowley sat in a gray suit, hands cuffed, eyes cold and still. No more speeches, no more power, just a man waiting to be judged. Marcus, stood in the witness box. He looked strong, calm, but Jaden could see the pain behind his eyes. "I served with Crowley years ago," Marcus said. "Back then, he was part of a secret group. They called it NEO. They believed in control, not safety, in power, not justice." The judge nodded. "And what was his goal in this neighborhood?" Marcus pointed at a folder on the table. "He returned here to rebuild his network. He called it Neighborhood Watch, but it was something else. He spied on kids, tracked families, labeled people as threats just because of how they looked or where they lived." Gasps filled the room. A lawyer asked, "How do you know this?" "Because I found the files," Marcus said. "With my son. At the warehouse, I saw names, photos, and plans." Jaden looked down. His photo was in that file. Crowley had called him a possible future threat. Later that day, the story hit the news. Neighborhood leader arrested in secret surveillance plot. Veteran father and son uncover dangerous operation. Reporters stood outside the courthouse. People in the neighborhood watched the story on TV, phones, and in cafes. Kids at Jaden's school whispered when he walked by, "Is that the kid from the news?" His dad took down Crowley. "He's a hero." Jaden didn't feel like a hero. He still remembered the fear, the chase in the park, the sound of bullets, but deep down, he was proud. They had told the truth, and it mattered. That weekend, there was a new meeting at the community center. This time, no posters, no fancy speeches, and no hidden plans. People came together for the right reason: to listen, to learn, and to heal. Marcus stood in front. "No one should be watched in secret," he said. "No one should live in fear. We protect each other by being honest, by caring, not by controlling." People nodded. Some clapped. Jaden looked around and saw faces he didn't notice before. Parents, kids, store owners. All different. All together. It felt real. It felt like home again. A few days later, Marcus sat on the porch. Jaden joined him, holding 2 mugs of tea. "Quiet night," Jaden said. Marcus smiled. "The best kind." Jaden looked at him. "You think it's really over?" Marcus didn't answer right away. Then he said, "Crowley's gone. But men like him don't always act alone. We cut the head, but the roots might still be underground." Jaden nodded slowly. "So what do we do?" Marcus looked at the stars. "We stay awake," he said. "We stay ready." 1 week later. A dark car stopped near the old warehouse. The door opened. A man in a black coat stepped out. He wore sunglasses, even at night. He walked to the locked gate, pulled out a key, and stepped inside. He opened a metal box hidden under the floor. Inside were more files, fresh ones, with new names. Jaden Turner. "Marcus Turner." He smiled, then whispered, "The mission isn't over."